Welcome back to Across the Table. We are here with, you'll probably notice some differences. Our normal Najee Bay is not here. He wasn't feeling too well today, so but that's okay. We have a new guest with us and someone that I'm excited to share some time with, Jessie Lewis, and he's actually a good friend of Jacob's.
Yep.
So we're just going to jump right in and start with how they met, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. Well, for everyone who doesn't know, we met at a restaurant. We worked at Chili's for, we were both there for, or when you transferred there, we were there for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, about 4 or 5.
Before I moved on to do other stuff. But all in that time, I really enjoyed working with this guy because, one, he's a great worker. And I'll just start off with like an interesting story. So I was always impressed by Jessie because, like you have the trays, like usually people carry one tray.
Yeah.
Like he would do this thing where he would carry both trays.
It's impressive. I'm always intimidated by the one. Like when I look at it, because it's always like, dude, if one wrong move.
Yeah, one wrong move and it just like, all spirals out.
Yes.
But anyways, all that aside, it was awesome working with Jessie, and he's got a great mentality, works really hard, and that kind of rubbed off on me. So after I moved on from Chili's, he just happened to work at the bank that I go to. So just coincidentally enough. And from there, we decided to, I was very interested in his nonprofit, which is what we'll talk about a lot today, I imagine. Yeah, because of that, I wanted to get you on and just pick your brain about nonprofit stuff. So
Sure.
So yeah.
What was your first impression of Jacob? Do you remember?
Real cool, pretty calm guy.
Yeah.
And same thing, good worker. Someone that you can tell people wanted to be around. You can sense it. It sounds kind of funny to say this now at this time, but you can sense good energy, man.
Yes,
when you're around someone, it's like
I definitely understand that. Yeah,
that's good people. That's
sure.
good people. That's someone I wouldn't mind being around. Versus like when if you work with someone, you have to be in a sense professional or force yourself to be around them in a sense.
Yes, what I mean? There are people like that.
Yeah, they're uncomfortable.
Yes.
In your mind, you're like,
I'm good.
I'm right there with you.
Right. Yeah, so Jacob, it was just that good energy like that. It's not hard for me to be around people. Mm-hmm. It's not even hard for me to kind of force myself to be around people if I have to. Right. But Jacob, he wasn't the type of guy where you have to you just have to force yourself like, hey.
He's one of the most easygoing humans I've ever met in my entire life.
Yeah.
And my older brother is one of the most relaxed people in the world. So for him to have that title is pretty
cool,
big.
Man. Yeah, that's
I appreciate
awesome,
that.
Man. For sure.
It's a lot better than my first impression of Jacob.
Yeah, what was it?
Yeah.
We talked about it on our Origin episode 0 story.
Yeah.
I wasn't here for that. So
you weren't here for that. So my first
again.
impression of Jacob was that he was awkward and quiet, and I didn't want to hang out with him.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
We went and saw a movie together, and this was we all met through church and stuff. And so my best friend at the time invited Jacob to come along, and he was just like, "Hey, how's it going?" I was like, "Hey, man, how are you?" And I'm always
I must have been
bigger, bolder, "Hey,
something
man, how's it going?" And
I don't know.
He was very quiet, reserved, "Hey, how's it going?" I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And I'm used to at this point, at this point in my life, I'm used to people being loud and bold and big, and Jacob's the opposite.
Not me.
And we saw the movie together, it's fine. And I just remember thinking all right, I'll probably won't ever see that guy again. It's fine, whatever. And then my best friend, the same guy that invited him to the movie, invited him over to my house to watch anime. And I was like, "Oh, he watches anime?
Yeah.
Oh, he likes anime? Okay, all right, cool. Hold on. This could be good."
Yeah.
And then we ended up sharing a room together for 4 years after that. Lived in the same room, not even just the same house, but best of friends.
So anime technically brought y'all together.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah. Technically, absolutely.
Technically, yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
But yeah.
What movie did you see?
I don't even know.
God. It was at the Dollar Theater.
Ooh.
So I have no idea. I want to say it was the first thing that comes to mind, which I this is probably wrong, but I saw it probably around that time was that gang movie, like the mob movie, but it was shot in like a weird way, so it didn't look old school. It was like a more modern, like cops versus
Gangster Squad?
Gangster Squad.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Ryan Gosling, Emma Stone.
Yeah, man. I thought it was great.
Okay.
was
I haven't seen
fantastic.
it. I haven't seen it, but I've always
I
wanted
don't.
to.
I don't know what that movie
It was
is.
kinda
fun.
like-
It was a very fast-paced, like lighthearted for the normal subject. It wasn't heavy
Yeah.
or dark or slow or like meticulous. It was
Sean
just
Penn.
yeah. I think Sean Penn was in that movie.
Yeah, he was.
And the guy who plays
Jewish
Thanos,
gangster.
what's his name?
Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin.
Yeah, that's right.
It was a pretty
Yeah.
star-studded cast.
Yeah.
Like it was a fun movie. It's not a great movie,
But it was fun.
but it was fun.
Yeah.
So
Love it.
yeah. So here we are.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
So what do you? Okay. I mean, just I guess kind of piggyback on. So anime. So I always thought I was like, man, I'm not into anime.
Yeah.
I'm not. Oh, I didn't think I was,
Right.
but the show I grew up watching as a kid, Dragon Ball Z.
Come on.
I knew where this was going because
We all-
I know I've asked you this.
Right. So
I knew where this was going.
and
I don't know.
I was talking to my cousin because what is it? Naruto.
Naruto.
So he watches that. He knows, and so I was like, man, and I was just talking about like I posted some Krog. I don't know if like Krog Street Tunnel. Have you ever been there?
Mm-mm.
So anyway, this artist.
Yeah, I was
he
just there.
painted- yeah, he
For the first time. It's
painted-
great.
he
Beautiful.
painted Goku's like a portrait of Goku.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, that was always my guy. Like,
Yeah.
like I wanted to be Goku. At 15, I wanted to be Goku. I was like, he like the nicest dude.
Welcome to all of our
He like
childhoods.
super
Yes.
tough.
Minus.
The
It's like,
strong
I don't
one,
have
yeah.
to prove anything. It's like super nice. Like I don't have to prove anything. Like I know I'm tough, but I don't have to prove it.
Yep.
So I always thought that was dope, and everything about him. But anyway, I long story short, I didn't know that was considered anime.
It is.
So that's what I was like. It was pretty interesting, just to.
Jesse, it sounds
kind
like
of
we need to
like-
introduce you to some new anime, my friend.
Hey, listen, man, I'm open to it, man. Like,
There's ones. So this is I always talk about, and we always talk about this too. But there's always one anime for everyone,
yeah,
at least.
that's a fact.
At the very least, like people say they don't like anime, and it's like, give me a chance. I'll get you one. So you already have your one, but
yeah.
there's definitely something that I think you would like.
It probably is, man. Because at 15, I put like my whole basketball team. I even put my coach on it. Like we'd be in the locker room because at that time, Dragon Ball Z would come on Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
At like
Mhm.
I think 4:30 or something like that. But we'd be there late at practice. Sometimes we wouldn't even play the PlayStation, man. We'd be in there like in the locker room waiting for Dragon Ball Z to come on.
That is incredible, man.
I mean, just like watching the whole saga, when he was the Frieza saga. We were like,
Frieza Saga, Cell Saga,
like, and
Majin
it was
Buu Saga.
yeah, man. I wish somebody had took a picture, like of all these like lanky kids, sweaty and stinky, after practice. On top of that, like in the locker room,
Come on,
like in front of this, and a TV not even bigger than this one, man. Watching Dragon Ball.
that's fantastic.
Yeah. So it's like you
Everybody
said,
huddled
man.
around.
Yeah,
It's great.
Everybody watching it.
It's
yeah.
fantastic. Do you know much about like where we started and how this podcast came about and stuff like that?
I don't.
Yeah, so we actually, because we love anime,
Yeah.
we watched Najee, who I'm sad that you don't get to meet right now, but you'll
Yeah.
meet him at some point. He came up with an idea for an anime,
Okay.
and then we loved it. We were like, let's do that. And then he left for Washington pretty soon after that.
Oh.
And we were left going, that was a cool idea.
Yeah.
But we were sitting on it. We didn't do much with it, and we saw a different anime or
Yeah.
an animated show technically because it's not made in
It's not,
Japan,
yeah.
but it's a really good show.
Yeah.
Ruby for anyone that knows that, and we were inspired. We
Yeah.
were like, man, what are we doing? We're sitting on
Right,
this thing
right,
that we
right,
love.
right.
We know we love
Yep.
this. This made us feel amazing.
Yeah.
Just like Dragon Ball Z, man.
Right,
The
right,
feeling
right,
of like
right.
this is incredible. Let's make that for other people. And we started that process 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And so,
That's
and
awesome.
making an anime is very expensive. I don't know if you know that. It's
I don't, but
Especially when no one on the team can draw.
it's like millions of dollars.
That should be the number one thing. Hey,
Oh,
okay, we
wow.
need someone that can draw.
Yeah, like real millions of dollars
Yeah.
to make like a good anime. And you can make it budget for sure, and there's ways around it, but it's still very,
to
very
make
expensive.
quality, yeah.
And so we went through some iterations trying to figure out, and we went, after a couple years of just saying, what is our heartbeat? Our heartbeat is to inspire people. Our heartbeat is to encourage people, make people feel better about themselves, help people grow and learn
Right.
more. Like, that's what we want to do. Well, what can we make? We can make a podcast. We can start talking. We can start sharing that heartbeat and
Right.
grow from there.
No, for
And
sure.
here we are.
Awesome,
Yep.
awesome.
So we're excited to have you on because I've heard some pretty good things about
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
this nonprofit. So
Yeah.
I'd love for you to share.
So,
Story
Beast
there.
Through Anything, it originally started as kind of like an affirmation for myself. When I first came to Georgia, I was in school back home. I'm from Memphis originally.
Okay.
And so I was in college there. I left home. Well, I guess I moved. I can't say I left home. I had already graduated high school, so at that time, moved out of my folks' house. I came from, I guess I would say, very, very humble beginnings financially, for sure. Grew up in probably like considered the worst neighborhood in Memphis, like top 5 worst in Tennessee.
Dang.
And so when I left my neighborhood, but the cool thing about it in my neighborhood, I was, me and my brothers and my sisters, we were the kids that parents would want their kids to be around. Like my folks, like it was a lot of chaos outside, but within the house, it was a lot of love, encouragement, and things like that. Saw a lot of stuff. My pops, he was blind like all my life, but he never made any excuses about it. Never took pity on himself, and so I saw that. Me and my brothers, we saw that. My sisters, we saw that. So it encouraged us. But anyway, I moved from Memphis to Georgia to sort of kind of start over a little bit or whatever. So came to Georgia, had everything lined up, but of course, sometimes you think you have the plan perfectly planned out. They don't work. So all this stuff started falling down, man.
Yes.
School, was trying to get back in school. Just a host of things going wrong with that. The apartment situation, everything going wrong with that. So I found myself homeless for about 2 months, like literally sleeping in my truck with everything packed in it. Yep. And so I kind of would say the saying, just beast through anything. I was just like, I'm a beast. My mindset is, you can't, I'm not about feeling sorry for myself and doing all of this. So it was just like, one day I just kind of just came up with it. It was just something I was just saying to myself. Yeah. And from there, once I got out of my situation, I kind of talked about it then because I didn't want it to be a thing where I'm going through this situation. I'm telling people about it, and it's like a pity. You read these stories. What is it? What do they say? Like a tragedy is a story of the ending is horrible. But tragedy, I didn't want it to read as tragedy. I want it to be like a triumph. Once you get out of the situation, then you can kind of talk about it and say, yeah, I started here, but it ended here. It's more triumphant than you talking about your problem and you going through it. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Oh. And then the ending is, I'm still in it, So it was kind of like, that thing. And I said it amongst, so much to myself. And then once I got out of this situation, you kind of find other people, like even at Kennesaw, I was going to Kennesaw, and there were a lot of students, man, that were actually like, they may not have been sleeping in their cars, but they were like sleeping in friends' dorms. Mm-hmm. Like I met some people that were, that got gym memberships just to get sleep in the gym and shower. Yep. Like people staying in shelters. People that even came from affluent or financially stable homes, but they were at odds with their parents. Mm-hmm. So even though my situation, it was in a sense like financially it was forced. My parents were poor. We were poor. But you had people that it's not just like people that came from poor families. These were people that had money. They came from money, but maybe their sexuality, the family didn't agree with, so they just like cut them off. It's like things you hear in movies. You looking like, whoa. So you can't say my situation at all. It was like then I started realizing, man, everybody's situation it reads the same. You have different stories, but it's it's bad. It's bad. If you put what's bad and what's good, this person's story may be different. His is this and this and this and this. It's not on the scale of which one is worse and which one is semi. This is a 5. That's a 10. It all reads bad. So, what can I do as an individual to try to not only encourage myself but encourage others as well? And so, the saying itself, it helped me out. So from that, I started my nonprofit. I've been able to work with a few different high schools. Just kind of encouraging kids through my story, but also of the stories of the people that I've met and been around. Whether their situation is a negative to a positive, or people that's currently in the situation, but they're like working towards getting out of it, just using everything. People I meet, Jacob, anyone to, be inspired myself, and then also, kind of inspire others. So,
I mean, it's a powerful thing that you said, the good versus the bad.
Yeah.
Because I think oftentimes we look at our situation versus someone else's situation,
Right.
and whether it's, oh, well, I'm doing better than them, so it's justifying something, or it's, I'm so much worse off than they are.
Right.
And feeling sorry for yourself. It's so easy to do, and it's almost instinctual for us as humans, right? Like, we want something to compare to either make us feel bad or justify the situation.
Right.
So I think coming to this idea that it's either bad or it's good, I mean, there's some gray area there for sure, but it helps you blanket statement, like, everyone's got their story.
For sure.
No one's worse or better than you. We're all in this together.
Right.
And it helps you come at it from an angle of, like, let's look at what are the general steps that we can start taking together, individually, to start moving from bad to good. Like, your situation matters, your story matters, your individualism matters, but as far as where you are and where you can go, there's steps to take. So that's good.
For sure.
Yeah, that's always been something attractive to me, like what you said, the tragedy to triumph, and I guess like the in between that is your BTA, the beast through anything,
Right.
That mentality, and I just appreciate that because it even helped me when I don't know, like this is just something very simple that is applicable to this, but like I needed a new car, and so like I don't know, I guess I didn't have people around me going, hey, you know what, like this is what you need to do, this is how you need to accomplish getting a new car, but like I don't know, I just saw your work ethic and that mentality, and then I was like, you know what, I can do that too. And so like in restaurants, it's so easy to be like, hey, you want me to finish a shift? You want me to work for you this day? Like what, like it doesn't matter. Like I'm going to either get off at like 10:30 or I can get off at 12:30 and work an extra 2 hours that I'm not doing anything at home.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and then just saving up money after, I don't know how long it took me, but, and then I bought a car and it was great.
He was very excited when he got that car.
I was very excited.
Because, I mean, that's how it feels, you work hard for something,
Yeah.
and absolutely, it's great.
That's awesome, man. Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Stand back and look at it like, it's mine. I put the work in to get it. Yeah, for sure, man.
I mean, we actually did some work with Campbell High School. I don't
Okay.
know if you've gotten a chance to go over there, but
I haven't.
their numbers are, from the outside, it's scary to hear about some of the numbers of like the students in high school that are homeless.
Yeah.
Like, because for me, like I think of high school as like my time where I went to high school. Like I just, it's a privilege that I got that because of my surroundings and my scenario felt like, oh, I have to go to high school. Where some kids you see that go through and it's like, they're choosing, even though they're on the street or somewhere else, it's not their home to go to school every day anyway.
Right.
So it's, I guess what is your process when you're going into these schools to speak to the different situations and kids that have these like dire situations where things like that?
Well, first thing, to listen. You know what I mean? Like I think that's the key thing because as adults, young adults or whatever, as someone just being older than someone when you're talking to someone younger, my uncle of mine, he very smart guy. I have my mom's side, the educationally sound, institutionally very successful and love them all, respect them all. But I had one of my uncles, you know, sometimes he had this thing where he's like talking at me, you know, and I kind of took that approach from my nephew before. Like I would come to him, my sister would say, hey, you know, he's doing this and doing this and doing this. Good kid. No, he never did anything crazy. And I would just talk at him. And he would then, you know, not call me if he, you know, that. But then after I get on this case, I say, you know, call me if you ever need something. You just browbeated me.
Yes.
And then he got to a point where it was like if he needed something or he wanted to talk about something, he didn't call me. But once he did something that wasn't cool, and you know, I talked to him, and I was like, man, you know, I just expect more of you. I think, you know, you're a good kid. I just was like building them up, and like within those layers of me building them up, I was sliding in like, you know, I just expect more of you, you know, because it's in you, you know, it's nothing, you know, da 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 da. I'm giving him these confirmations. I'm telling him, yeah, you know, but I'm giving him these confirmations in it after I listen to him tell me, you know, why he did this thing. And so when I listen and I'm able to kind of break it down, okay, I hear your story, I'm listening to you, and I can spew back what you said to me so that you can know I'm vested in what you're saying versus I'm just like, I don't want to hear no one you talking about. I know better. Yeah. You know, nobody wants to hear that. But after I did that, he would call me, hey, Unc, you know, check out, man. I did this and did this. Just call me all the time. Even now, you know, he texts me. We text and talk a lot. So I took that to the kids, you know, in these different schools and things like that. You know, listening to them because you have teachers, the parents, everybody's kind of talking at them and telling them, you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that. Well, why shouldn't I do this? You know, you meeting kids, man, that's selling drugs and doing this and doing that. It's cool to tell them, like, you should tell them they should not be doing these negative things. But if a kid feels like they don't have any other options, what are my options then? Like, if you're telling me not to sell drugs, to feed myself, to clothe myself, or even help out my brothers and my sisters, or my mom who's breaking her back working, I got to do something. Like, some kids may not be going to school. They may just be working. They may not even be doing anything negative. They like, I can't work. I mean, I can't go to school because I got to help pay the bills, you know, in my home. I'm skipping school, but I'm not doing it because I want to be a bad kid. You know, so it's listening to the stories and trying to give like real solutions. Like, I don't want to just talk to somebody and give them some positive, beast through anything. Well, I mean, you know, myself, beast through anything. Beast through anything. You get a BTA. You get a BTA. And they like, okay, you know. And even if you inspire somebody in that one sitting, you know, I want to give them something, man, some real food that they can chew on and digest, and something that's helpful. I don't want to just, you know, tell you something, and even from the meaning, you know, not just say like, you know, beast through anything. It's like whatever it is. It's not just working out. Before I came here, I was like, man, I have a daughter, a 1-year-old. Before she came, I was waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to the gym, like trying to prepare so that when she comes, I won't be sidelined. My workouts, I won't be sidelined. I won't be set down. I need to go even harder for her now, you know, because this is a little person that's dependent on me. I love her. Like, I can't even explain how much I love her, but my willingness to want to be able to take care of her is along the same lines because I'm responsible for her. I'm responsible for her. I know a lot of parents that love their kids, but they may not take on their responsibility, unfortunately. But I'm responsible for her. So the same relationships I have with the kids and just people in general, you know, I want to take that to her as well, and not to be long-winded, but you know, so that's basically, you know,
you're speaking my language.
So yeah, man, you know,
like this is everything that you're talking about. I'm here for.
Yeah, for sure, man.
One of my favorite stories that I tell is a time where I went on a church retreat. Yeah. With it was down to the beach. It was a bunch of kids, and I got put with I think 8th grade boys. And so it was supposed to be like 2 leaders. Yeah. With a group of kids. Yeah. For some reason, I don't know what happened to my other leader. I don't know. No one told me what happened.
Yeah.
I was with, I think, 6 other 8th grade boys.
Yeah.
Just me. And when I told people, hey, I got 8th grade, the response I got overwhelmingly was, ooh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. And I don't know what it is about me. I don't know I haven't like really processed through the way that my mind works for this, but I was just, I took it as a challenge.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
No,
Awesome.
I'm not going to think of it that way.
Right.
They're just kids. Like, they're
Right.
kids like any other kids would
Absolutely,
be.
man.
And I think for me, I was influenced very strongly by some very strong role models growing up, between my mom and some of the teachers that I had, and people that I really just saw as, people that I wanted to be like.
Right.
And that was step one. Present and be the person that you remember wanting to be as a kid. The second one was, and I think this one's really looked over, is be willing to be vulnerable where you can.
Yeah.
Because if you are someone that kids or younger generations are looking up to, if they get this idea that you're perfect and nothing affects you, nothing hurts you, it sets this unrealistic expectation for them where they're never going to attain that. They're going to go through hardships, right? And so you want to instill this, you can be at this point and you can keep going from this point, but it takes work to get there, and it's hard to get there, and you need friends around to get there, and you need good relationships. And I'm telling you, man, that week was one of the best weeks of my life.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I had
That's dope.
8th grade kids, one in particular, I will never forget. He was shorter than the rest of the kids in his grade.
Yeah.
I mean, like, significantly.
Yeah.
But he's super intelligent. I mean, like, he could hold a conversation with us right now.
Yeah.
Back when he was in 8th grade, he would
Awesome, man.
give and take like any of us would. And so we got along great. He got along with all the adults really well because he was smart.
So
he held those conversations.
Yeah.
But just going in with this idea that I'm not giving up on kids just because they're in a certain grade or just because people think of them as maybe annoying or too hard to relate to or whatever it is. Like, that tone was set from the beginning, and throughout the week, I remember with his peers, he looked them in the eye and he said, I'm sorry if I've treated any of you poorly in these past couple of days. I'm really, really, what's the word? I'm ashamed of my height. Like, I feel lesser than because of my height, and I use my intelligence to compensate for that. And I don't want to be that person.
Yeah.
I had another kid talk about how he was angry all the time and didn't want to be angry anymore.
Yeah.
I'm like, look what intentionality and care and real love and pouring out can do and can set in place.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think people overlook that, man. They think of, like, even what you're talking about, just this responsibility for, like, we forget how important that is and what what it makes a difference for, and we get caught up in ourselves. We get caught up in, all the things that we have on our plate, all the hardships we're going through. We forget to look out and go, look at what we can do for others. And
exactly.
So I love it, man.
Absolutely, man.
I'm
with it. Yeah, man. I love that, man. That's awesome, man. That you had that impact, man. Especially, and then have those kids, like, to have that awareness, like,
blew me away.
Come out like
I'll
I would
never
too.
forget
I'd be like, my eyes would be wide. I'd be like so impressed, like, oh my god, the Rudy claps.
Yes, man. It was
like, what's wrong with
it was
this guy?
a great moment.
That's awesome,
and
man.
I want more of it.
Yeah, man. And I think, man, like, even in whatever we do, it's like helping people. For most people, I heard Denzel Washington say, man, he was like, it's probably like one of the most selfish things you can do in a sense.
Yep.
Because it makes you feel so good.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You just like, man, like, even I seen like people that I seen dirt bags almost, man. You like, oh, he's a dirt bag, but they helping people out. They give them, some food or whatever, man, homeless person, and it just makes them, feel, it makes them feel good. And you can kind of see that glimpse of, oh, he may be a dirt bag, but maybe he's just a little bit more dirty, just so, man, that's an awesome thing, man. Like, I think that's pretty dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So what plans? Where do you hope to take it? Like, when did you start, and then we've kind of heard kind of your process and everything.
Yeah.
Where's the goal? Where do you want to take it?
So, my biggest thing is I'm a what you did was IQ test. I'm a what is it? Talker.
Oh, like INFP or
Yeah. I forgot
Myers-Briggs.
The Myers.
Yeah.
Personality test. I was actually going to ask if you were using any of that. That's
so
cool.
I'm one like, all right, man, I want to do this.
Yep.
Yeah.
And versus like, I see it. Okay, my plans are like, because I'm like, man, I don't want to outplan myself from doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to make this plan. Oh no, this is not, because it's never going to be perfect.
Yes.
So, but ultimately, I want to get to a point where it's not just kids. Like it's whoever. I just think kids are a little bit more receptive because when you talk to other adults, even myself, we kind of get into a thing like, oh, we already know. Oh, I know.
Oh man, dude, I cannot. Oh my gosh, that's one of the most frustrating things is when you're talking to a peer, and because they see you as an equal, it's like, well, I can't take advice from this person. I can only take advice from someone above me, and it's like, dude, I'm giving you everything you need right now. Even just listening, but just going, hey, why don't you try this? And it's like, well, what the fuck do you know? We're equal. It's like, no, dude. It's like they're never like actively ignoring you. They're just nodding their head, saying yes, and then they're not going to follow through with anything you tell them.
It was weird. Growing up, I actually was like excited about getting older.
Yeah.
For that specific reason.
Yes.
Like, because I remember being younger and thinking like, I remember being 15 years old, and my mom will probably be like, "This is not something that you're supposed to be doing." Sorry, Mom. This is you made me. I remember giving my mom marriage advice when I was 15. Like,
that's good.
Okay.
Like they were the guy she was married to at the time, which that guy was a dirtbag.
Yeah.
Like if we're talking about dirtbags, you know who you are. You are a dirtbag. You were. Hopefully, you've changed.
Yeah.
They were really struggling to communicate.
Right.
And I remember at 15, like I just had so many good influences. Like even my mom herself, the way we talked was good communication, and teachers and stuff like that. I remember there was a day where I just yelled at them. I said, "Hey, you sit on the couch.
Yeah.
He's gonna talk, and Mom, you're gonna listen.
Yeah.
And then she's gonna talk, and you're gonna listen to every word she says. And that's how it's gonna go." And I remember like a week went by, and they were like, "This is the best we've ever been," and blah, blah, blah. But you're a kid, so it only lasts so long, and you don't know how to really communicate the best way and to build the foundational blocks. You just yell at people this is the way.
Right.
So as a kid, you had to yell or be, make this big scene to make your voice heard.
Yep.
And I was like, man, I want to be older so I can just. People will look at me and go, "I want to learn from you."
Yes.
Right.
I'd like to know how you got where you are, and I'd like to know why you.
That's the best thing about being an older sibling, because I was talking to my sister when I was home for Christmas, and she's 18, 19, 18. They are permanently in my mind, whatever the age they were when I moved out.
Sure.
It's like
That's awesome.
Now it's like, wait, you're how old? So anyway, she's 18. But that being said, I remember she was angry at my parents for like the same reason I was angry at my parents like ages ago. Of course, you go through the same thing.
Yeah.
So I remember sitting down and talking to her, and like giving all this advice. I was like, I understand why you're upset. I was there too. It's frustrating, blah, 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 blah. But in the end, you're going to, you'll look back and you'll go, they were in the right. Like, they know what they're doing. They know, I'm at where I'm at because of them, and you'll get it all. I promise you, it will all make sense.
Yeah.
And I remember that conversation went on for like an hour, and she just wasn't retaining. She just, no matter what I said, there was always something else. And I finally, at this point, I was like, you've made up your mind. I was like, if you don't want to listen, I gave you all the advice. I gave you everything you need to know. If you don't want to listen, that's it. Yeah. And then she finally went, okay, okay, yeah, you make a good point. Well, right, because it's like I'm here to help, and I'm giving you everything you need to know, and I've walked you through it, and you've just been at odds with me. So like, either take the advice, or you can keep doing what you're doing.
That's actually the hardest part for me about being an older sibling. Because my younger brother and I are 4 years apart. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's a long story, and it's a impactful story, but it's long. When I changed my life around and figured everything out, figured out where I was going, and what God meant to me, and how much I was going for that, and I moved in with my mom after the second arrest.
Ah, yes.
I was. You weren't here, but last episode we talked about all of our stories.
Yep.
And because I had this immense amount of clarity, and I was watching him go through the same things that I was going through, that I'd just been through, it took everything in me, and I really resonated with what you're talking about of talking at people, because I spent about a year talking at my younger brother.
Yeah.
And it caused resentment.
Yeah.
I mean, he hate, you talk about sibling rivalries and you get he hated me. Like an adult would hate another adult for legitimate reasons.
Yeah.
And it took a long time for us to get to a point where we worked it out, and it a very, very intense night where I realized I had never really listened to him.
Yeah.
Because whenever I would listen, I was always listening to share, listening to fix, listening to teach. And I remember one night I just stopped because there was no talking to him. And I listened for about 3 hours.
Yeah.
And that's actually a pretty big shift in my life, because I realized I wasn't listening to a lot of people in my life. I thought I had all this wisdom, and so you look at the connections of I was younger and wanted to get older so I could share my wisdom.
Yeah.
Well, part of that wisdom is taking the time to listen.
Right.
And hear people out and hear their stories and understand people. And so
it's so funny how kids in the same family will go through the same phases.
Yeah.
Because my family's always been okay. So you saw him going through the same struggles that you did, and ours are drastically less. Mine was just my sister's why can't I hang out at? I used to get angry because my mom would not let me hang out at the parties after dances.
Yeah.
She'd be like, nope, just come home after the dance. It's why? Why can't I do this shit? So now she's pissed.
It's my time.
Yeah, exactly. So now my sister's pissed for the same reasons.
Yeah, sure.
And it's it's nothing major. And it's here's the thing. First of all, parties would not have been fun. Second of all, I don't even drink, and I didn't then. I just never have.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have then anyways.
Sure.
So it would have been intensely less funny. It would just been
just been on the scene.
Yes, just been there. So I don't know. I talked to my sisters about the same thing. So to see them go on the same path, and then to see, because so I've got 3 sisters. Abby and I are the closest in terms of age, and then whatever. So we used to, when we hated each other when we were growing up, it was intense. Everything that came out of her mouth was the worst thing I'd ever heard. And I hated her. And then we are now super close.
Yeah.
It just changed with
It's funny
growing
how
up.
it seems to always work like that.
It always does. So to you're all right, well, I see where I'm at now, and we get along great, so it's fine. And then she was on the receiving end of that, and I kind of get on her sometimes because now she's in the same spot with my younger sister Peyton. So now they they were there. They kind of hated each other, and now it's moved on to my 2est younger sisters, which is Peyton and Charlie, who can't stand each other.
Man.
And it's it's so frustrating to see them go through the same things, and to be there's only so much I can tell you.
Well, I think that really speaks to, in a funny way, but it speaks to this idea of when you've gone through something and you don't want other people to go through that. Before the episode, we were talking about, your work with the bank and how you get the opportunity to help people, I think you phrased it avoid getting in the hole versus getting out of the hole. And that's what you want to do.
Yes.
There's this instinct in you that goes, I want to save you that trouble.
Yeah.
I went through it, or I know someone that went through it close enough to me that I don't want you, but
sometimes you have to.
You can't force anyone to do anything. And I think that's one of the hardest things about wanting to help people, having a heart that wants to help people.
And it kind of go back to what you, sometimes, you can do your due diligence and, speak on it, but, you kind of have to sometimes, like what you said to your sister, all right, I said what I can say to you. Go ahead and go. It's you gave her that foundation now. Because sometimes you go ahead and you might as well go ahead and put the sprinkle out there, and maybe that's gonna feed into her foundation. And so when she makes those mistakes and still, do the same things that you probably know that she's going to do, she can refer back and say, well, Big Bro did say this. I remember we had this conversation, and she can kind of see the picture that you painted. Now she can see it. It's like, like, and it's the same thing went through, like, when my parents, when I got to a certain age, like, I would be sweeping, and that was the stupidest thing I ever said. And clean this and clean. I can't wait till I'm 18, man. I hate this place, man. I can't wait till I'm 18. I'm getting out of here. I'm gonna pay my own answer. Under my breath, of course.
Yeah.
And and the relationship when you get older, because the relationship starts to get kind of bad. It started to get kind of bad between me and my parents because I felt like I'm at an age now. I'm 16, where I'm a man. I don't want to, you telling me not to do this. I want to go to this girl's house. You telling me I can't go to this party and this and this. And so the relationship started getting bad. And even I left kind of like quick after high school. It wasn't because I was mad or anything like that. I actually had more clarity a little bit. We had gotten into this big argument with my parents. I got into a big argument with them. And so I was going to leave then. I had the money saved up. But I was able to kind of, like, I always had this thing where I can kind of come to myself, like, it's almost like talking to myself, like, like you mechanism, like, man, calm down, like, calm down. It's not that bad, like chill. Like, this is the stories I'm telling myself in my head, like, chill. It's not that bad. Like, what are you doing? So I waited for a week until everything was good. I was like 18, waited till everything was good. Like, it was like we were talking and just having fun. I was like, I think, I got money saved up, guys, so I'm going to go ahead and leave. But I left on a good note versus when I was angry.
Yep.
But when my brother and my sister, they started to go through the same things. And all I was saying to them was, man, you know how mom and pops are. You know how they are. Come on, man, you got to do this, do this. You know how they are. And it was the same thing, what you were doing, what you were saying to your sisters. Like, I was kind of sliding that little stuff in on their foundation. Mm-hmm. They kind of eventually got it. Like, sometimes people will get it. It's like the girl with the boom mic.
Yeah.
Yes,
it is in frame.
Right,
it's in front of his face.
Maybe when she goes to the next job, she'll remember, when she hold it. Like, man, I got fired from it. Even if she don't remember how to correctly put the boom mic.
For reference for our listeners, we told a story where...
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, Corey worked on a set where no one was being paid, and someone still got fired because they couldn't hold the boom mic correctly, and she did it over and over and over again.
Every shot.
Yeah. So like her, yes, maybe, hopefully, she learns when she goes on and goes... I should probably not hold it the way that I was holding it when I got fired from free work.
Yeah, man. And it's all about, man, like, you may not listen. None of us, like, I don't listen to everything. Yeah, sure. Like, right when you tell me, somebody may drop a jewel. And I'm like, man, it may be a jewel. I may even take it as a jewel, but I may not even listen to it because I'm going through the motions of my own life. It's things are affecting me differently than how it affected this person, even though they gave me this nice little gem and I could apply it to this situation, but I'm all in my feelings and my emotions and I'm dealing with life and I'm like, forget that, I'm handle it, how I'm gonna handle it. But sometimes, it takes you to kind of go through that or fall or make that mistake and then kind of come back if you, survive that if you can survive it in an emotional sense, then you can come back and say, oh, your sister, she can say, oh, I remember when Corey did tell me, this, about, this may happen or in this situation or this approach or whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. They can kind of learn from that and say, because the failures or the falls or the mistakes, those are like the best teachers for some, for all of us if we let it, Yeah,
that's definitely the best way I learn and the most unfortunate way for being the best way that I learn. Yeah. I used to say all the time, and I should probably continue to say it more, but the smartest people in the world to me are the people that can learn from other people's mistakes.
Absolutely.
Jacob is one of those people. Yeah, he sits and he watches and he goes, that did not work out for you. I'm not gonna repeat that the same way. And I'm stubborn and hard-headed and struggle with pride, and I'm like, I want to be older so I can share my wisdom with other people. Yeah. I should go ahead and do this like this. And,
you speak in my language.
Backfired. So that's
well, it's one thing to just it's good to recognize when people learn from making mistakes. It's good to because I don't know. Trial and error is not a bad system. Like if you're
not the worst, and in some cases better.
But exactly, it's good to because I don't know. There's learning from other people's mistakes, and then there's failing and understanding why it failed from going through it. So that's a big thing for me, where it was like, even if everyone around me is telling me like, do this, this, and this, it's tough to go against what you feel is right.
Yeah.
And even if it does fail, it's like, well, I did what I wanted, and I now understand why it failed. And as long as you don't continually do things like that, if you learn from making mistakes, then it's good. It's good to learn from making mistakes. And being a failing several times is fine. It's when you don't learn from making those mistakes then that you don't make any progress.
Right.
As someone who observes and kind of learns from other people's mistakes, so to speak, I can really respect that point of view, because there is some value in that. I guess I've always looked at I can learn from the last 2,000 years of like failures. Like you can look at it like that, but really none of that's gonna stand out in moments where you're gonna need it, versus like practical real life experience. And so I think that we can all gain from having a good balance in the way that we learn. So
absolutely, I couldn't agree more. And I didn't want to be I'm probably somewhere in between you two, but I didn't want to. I really didn't want to do the cliche. Probably somewhere in the middle, but whatever. I guess
there it is.
There it is.
It's really interesting because my mind is racing right now trying to formulate this idea, and it keeps coming in and out as people are talking. But I think it's hard. I think one, you don't have your risk takers if there aren't people who don't learn from their mistakes, right? So the revolutionary things a lot of the most revolutionary things of the world probably come from someone just full charging in and going, this is going to work. And going, wow, no one tried it like that before. That's crazy. You know, so but the value of, I think that it's really hard for someone like myself, I know personally, to capture is the immense wisdom of other people. Because I'm so caught up in what I can provide for other people and how do I help other people and how do I inspire other people and encourage other people that I forget to, I listen all the time.
Right.
I'm taking in all the time, but I forget to go, I can implement this in my life.
Right.
You know, I feel like I'm so busy or so caught up, and even it's funny, like someone like the kids that you mentioned who are like selling drugs to make it, right? They're caught up in, I have to do this in order to get to the next step, the next, provide the next meal, provide the next place for my, family or whatever it be. Like, it's so hard in situations like that, in situations like whatever we're doing, because everyone's busy. Everyone's got their hustle, their thing that they're chasing, their thing that they're going after. It's hard to feel like I can stop and assess and take in that wisdom and see where I can implement it. And stopping will actually benefit me.
Right.
Because that's something that I feel like right now, like my wife and I were just talking about, I think last night. I'm struggling to balance newly married, new job, chasing dreams, and it's pulling back and going, hey, what are the steps that I take? What are the processes that I take to make this successful? Not just, well, when it comes, I'll take care of it. When it comes, I'll take care of it. I'll do my best. And going,
speaking my language.
And going, let me plan out. This week I have this many hours. I'm going to take an hour here and I'm going to work on this. It feels so slow in my mind because I just want to go.
Yeah.
But it's that stopping and prioritizing that you're going to give quality time to those things that matter and really progress them versus thinking that you're going to progress when you get there.
Absolutely.
That's so hard for someone like me.
I 200,000% understand that, man. I understand that. My fiance, my daughter, I can understand it, man. You're trying to manage all these things, but it's not happening in the pace that you want it to happen in your mind. I definitely understand that, man. Like even trying to like, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this for them or for whatever.
Right.
And in your mind, how you have it sort of planned out in your mind is supposed to happen faster because you need it to, so that I can move on to this next thing.
Yeah.
This has to happen so that I can move on to this because I have to do this. It's like you negotiating and rationalizing with yourself. Like it's like it's like you almost talking like this. Your outer self is holding you back from doing this thing faster. No, I gotta do this. No, I gotta listen.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It's supposed to happen now. What are you doing? And it's a thing, man. I meet people. I don't know if you ever. Anyway, it's this place. It's this show called Breakfast Club. So I listen to things or whatever. So they got this show that's coming out. It's called. And this kind of off subject, kind of on it.
Oh, we love that. We go off subject all the time.
It's called. It's a show that's coming on. It's a reality show. I don't watch reality shows, but I listen to a lot of podcasts and motivational videos. Gary Vee, all these different people. E.T. Just a lot of people, man. But anyway, had these women on there, and they were called trap queens. So it was a funny to put this. That was supposed to be the because they're coming out with a reality show. But these women, they were in these situations. They all did these things that got them into like major trouble. This lady was running like a financial services where she was helping guys. It started off legit. She was helping guys who had like diamonds and all these different things, broker deals. But they had to have a certain amount of money. They were well off, but they didn't have the type of money that they needed to get into these brokerages. So she was kind of, as she was saying, fudging the books, saying, instead of them valued at $5 million, they valued at $10 million because they needed it to come right now. And even the women themselves, everything they were doing, they were all doing these different things. Now they did it illegally, but they started from nowhere. So even though it's a catchy thing, they were geniuses. Like they were very smart.
Yeah.
They just did it the wrong way. And one of the girls said that she was what got her into trouble is because she was doing it, but she was doing it so fast. Like I have to do this now. I have to do this now. And then she fell into the illegal part of it because I have to do this now. So I can't wait. It's $5 million, 20 million. You work 20. I'm gonna, fix these books around and say you work 20 million. And she was getting so much money in, it worked. What we were saying, we wanted to work, but she had to cross that line. It's that line because there's certain things like that I think that I can do. I'm not gonna say 100% that I could do, and I probably would get like. It's kind of funny. We're around a lot of guys, but anyway, I work out a lot. I got friends that work out a lot, and they aesthetically they have nice aesthetics, and I think I've been told I have nice aesthetics. I could go and take pictures with my shirt off and put this thing out here and get this type of response.
Jesse, the Instagram model.
Right, but and I could steer it to my my main point, and I could do this all the time, but it's like. I have different principles and morals that I don't want to be that guy to, it's funny to say half naked out here. And, I'm thinking about, my daughter gets older. What would she say? What would my parents, people, thinking about, and just my own principles and my morals. So it's like, as fast as I want this to happen, I dial it back to my principles and my foundation. Yep. Like it's in my mind, I want it to happen like super fast because we grew up in this era of this instant gratification. I kind of work out sometimes. I work out as much as I do because it kind of feeds my instant gratification. Like I can go in and say, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to hit these sets. I got it. That for me, it feeds into my instant gratification. I think that's why a lot of people sometimes kind of work out as hard as they do. The ones that love it. I love working out.
Because they want to get that image real quick.
Right. And it feeds, I think positive, it feeds into, it helps with that instant gratification because like you can go in and say, all right, I'm going to give me an hour workout in. I'm gonna work this muscle down this, and you can hit those goals and it like when you work out, it gives you like this high, like you know, because you're working towards something. You can work within an hour, work towards something and complete it and get that like. And then if you can walk by a mirror, we all do it. I'm gonna be honest, like as somebody that work, like if you look good, like you know what I mean, and it feeds into that. So, and I probably diverted off topic, but that instant gratification, I think, feeds into that want of wanting to get it done now because we feel like we're on this schedule. And for me, sometimes it can get into a thing where I'm looking at other people. They like, man, you know, it's going right for them. Like I'm the type, if I see somebody doing like, I always see someone doing something and it's like, I want it to work for them. I want it to work for them because I want to see people win. But if it works for them, then I know it can work for me too. But I still want it fast, you know? And so sometimes I have to tell myself like, you know, that's their process. You don't know what they had to do behind the scenes. Yeah. You don't know the work, not in a negative way. You don't know the work that they had to do. Maybe for them, they wanted it to happen quicker than it did too. You know. So
well, yeah. I mean, you look at YouTube as like a prime example.
Yeah.
People who are successful on YouTube and who are making videos that are getting, you know, hundreds of thousands, millions of views, likes, all this stuff. It's really easy to look at and go, oh, I mean, they're just going and shooting something. And it's like, no, they started out shooting something with nothing,
for fun,
getting some friends who believed in what they were doing, getting a little bit of like, you know, expertise and understanding and technical like work of how this all goes together, and then they started producing them with more quality, and then they
learning
started
from failures.
Learning from failures, right? Like it's
absolutely
it's this, you really do never know, and it's something. One of the best things I've, you know, I have to tell myself all the time as someone who's chasing a dream, and I'm sure you can probably relate to this
indeed.
is. You look at other people who are successful in fields that are similar to yours, and you have to remind yourself it takes a lot of hard work to get there, and they had to work hard to get there. And maybe some people got lucky, but that's not. You don't bank on that. You don't sit there and go, "Oh, I'm just going to wait until I get lucky." No, you put the hard work in, and you go as hard as you can to chase that dream that matters to you so much. And it's hard. It's hard in times where you feel like things aren't going right. It's hard in times when other events kind of impede on that, or you feel like they're you know, you're hurting or you're going through something, and you got to continue to remind yourself your reasons for doing what you're doing. I mean, you talk about your morals and you know, these things that matter to you so much. You have to remind yourself, this is what matters. This is what I'm chasing. This is what I'm going for. And on the days that are the worst, that's where you got to remind yourself the most.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely. Man.
I want to sort of backtrack to our last point where we talked about failure, like working towards trial and error and like planning. And a really good piece of advice that I got, I don't remember when, but to speak to the point that we always end up bringing up, which is there's a balance to everything, which is, you know, you can't be 100% one way or the other, because if you're all go, 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 you're not going to have a solid plan to work, to do anything. I mean, trial and error only does so much if you learn, if you don't learn. And then the opposite of that is you can plan for however long, but if you don't actually start, you're not going to get anywhere. So you have to have the balance of like, all right, I've planned all I can. It's time to just throw caution to the wind and do it. And just go for it. And then another really great piece of advice that I got was no one gets lucky. And people think, you know, from the outside looking in, you go, oh man, they got lucky. They were recognized by whatever. Like
someone shouted them out.
Someone's a friend. He's a friend of someone famous. Blah 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 blah. But it's like no one actually gets lucky. It's when you work hard and you do what you're going to do, and then when the opportunity to get lucky presents itself, you are ready to take it. Because the opportunity can present itself, but if you're waiting around to get lucky, you don't know what to do with that opportunity, then you're screwed. It's the best thing is like being ready for it when it comes, and then when and if it shows itself, you've got to be ready to take it. Well, you can't just sit around waiting for it.
No, we talk about it all the time in reference to our anime. Like, if someone had come in and been like, hey, I love you guys, here's $3 million, we would not have known what to do with it.
Correct.
We would have been like, okay, thanks. we probably would have blown it all. Like we probably would have gone and tried to spin it the right way, but not known at all, right?
Yeah.
I absolutely agree. I think whatever you are passionate about, whatever you care about, you have to put in the hard work to get there. Because no matter what the circumstance or situation is, when you are in that spotlight, if you will, when that moment arises, the work that you've put in will show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So I 1,000,000%. I think.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, you got to have the follow through. Because you can get the shout out all you want, you can get your moment in the spotlight, but if you don't know what to do from there, it doesn't just take care of itself. You're not just there. You got to be able to do you got to maintain it and do the work.
You guys know who Les Brown? You ever listen to Les?
I have not.
Sounds super familiar.
He's well, I guess you fall in the category with Gary Vee, except like Gary Vee is more modern and a little bit more aggressive. I love Gary, but and I like Les as well. But anyway, he had this thing where he said, he was he started off as a disc jockey or whatever. He was hungry. He got into the space and made it, even though he didn't have any experience. But anyway, he created this company, and it was so successful. It goes to your point. It was so successful that he got to a point. He sold it not because he sold it and made money off, but he sold it because he was afraid that he couldn't maintain it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, it was getting so successful. He was like, oh man, this opportunity came and he sold it. And I think like you said, man, if you put the work in, and even beforehand, to build yourself up to where when it does come, you're ready.
Yep.
And you're prepared when it becomes successful to maintain it. Because I think that's a tough thing. Like I see it with athletes, or that's how I look at it. I see it with athletes, after their careers, they have these, all of a sudden they were kids that were maybe in college and doing, they probably had this high praise, but now they're not only getting this praise, they're getting all this money. Mm-hmm. And they have these careers where it's like, they really didn't have to do anything. They already had the talent. I've been doing this for years, so I can play ball. But the average athlete, 5 years after their career, their money is gone.
Yep. Because
they didn't have the mindset to maintain it. It was like a person would say, well, how did they become broke after all these years, all this money they made? Yep. It was like, it was natural for them. It was like breathing and walking and running around for them to play basketball, or football, or tennis, golf, whatever it may be. It's mostly in basketball and football. But it was easy for them to maintain it because everything was coming at them. It's like,
because you're making more money than you know what to spend on.
Exactly.
Like you're like, all right,
this is never running out,
and it's never going to run out, and it's always going to keep coming in. And then you retire, and then what?
Or you get hurt. I mean, I imagine that's probably
and then
even worse.
So
the big thing was I had the moment of not clarity the other day, but I was like, why the fuck do I see so many retired football players or basketball players becoming personalities on TV? Mm-hmm. I'm like, why do we need more of this? Mm-hmm. It's like, you played football. I don't care what your commentary is on this funny video, because on ridiculousness or whatever.
On ridiculous.
Why do we need this? And then it's like, well, wait, where do they go after football? So it's like, it's sort of the next career move. Mm-hmm. You sort of got to go into something where you're like, all right, I got to keep my career going somehow, and I can't keep getting knocked over by 300 pounds.
Yeah, the people that you're talking about who their only goal was to just make it in this field. Mm-hmm. And once you've made it, I saw probably 10 years ago something on TV that has stuck with me, and it was someone coming in that had started a program for athletes.
Yeah.
To walk them through financial understanding and hey, it feels like it's gonna keep coming in. It feels like it's it's so much, but you gotta start the work now. And I thought we need more of that.
Yeah.
We need more people who are seeing those needs.
See a need, fill a need.
I'm gonna start using that more often in my life because I love it so
man.
much.
That's your affirmation.
Yes, man, and that's
Yeah,
I mean, I want to be like that. That's what I want to do.
Well, it's crazy to me the career of a football player or a basketball player. You look at an athlete and you go, man, their career peaks at around the age we're at. Mm-hmm. They retire at 30. And it's, you're working your whole beginning of your life to get here, and then it's like, well, at 30, that's it. Unless you become a coach or something like
Right.
that, or you play till you're older, you can get into like your 40s. But there comes a point where like you can't play anymore, and then it's like, what do I do with the second half of my life when I've already accomplished and can't go back to the goal that I've spent all my time working towards? So what do you do now?
Yeah, it's like that, man. And I think like, but you can kind of see it, like let's take like a Jordan or even a Kobe. Unfortunately, like a child, like a hero of mine, growing up, just his mentality, but their approaches to the game, it was like you can kind of see it. Like they worked harder. Like when Kobe got older, couldn't do the same things that he could do. It's like younger players, people that are jumping over cars, dunking it. So he was like, all right, I can't compete with that. But what I can do, he had this thing where he said that he would go, he would work out with the team. But before working out with the team, he'd be up at 3:00 in the morning working out for hours, maybe take a 30-minute break, work out with the team, and then after he's done working out with the team, the mandatory workout, take another break and work out with the team. And he was like, man, I did this for so long so that I can be steps ahead of everyone else. Yeah. Because when you're doing your work, your regular workout, and maybe you're throwing a little extra on it, I'm doing extra on top of the extra to compensate for the talents that I don't have that had depleted because I'm older now. I can't do the same things I was doing, but they take that same formula into a lot of people know. If you look it up, Kobe has started a hedge fund, $100 million hedge fund. He didn't know anything about finance. They had him on. He rung the morning bell when they opened the market up or whatever. But they were asking him, well, have you learned how to read financial statements? To kind of break down the company and understand. Okay, should I invest in this company long term, short term, whatever. And he was like, I'm learning. And like, if people sometimes say things, but if you know his work ethic, then you know that he was actually doing this. This was years ago, and it was fast forward before his untimely death. His company, it had, I think it went from 100 million to like 150 or 60 million or something like that. So it was growing. Same thing with Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is the first billionaire after leaving the NBA. Magic Johnson, Larry Bird. These were like great players, but they went the extra mile in their careers to work out. Magic Johnson made more money as a businessman than he ever almost 100 times more than what he made as an athlete. He was a top athlete.
Yeah.
But I think it goes to people. You can kind of see you have people that are naturally talented. Mostly everybody in the NBA is naturally talented, NFL or whatever. But who's going that extra mile in their career? And you can see it. LeBron James spends $2.5 million on his physical training, his workouts, like away from what he has to do in the gym. So, and LeBron is 36. He's still playing like he got like 20-year-old legs right now. Like he's running up and down the court. He's playing at a high pace. He's still regarded as the best player in the league, at least top 2, top 3. But he attributes that, of course, genetics, but to his conditioning.
Yeah, sure.
So it's the same thing with whatever we do. If we're, within our passion or our career, we have to I don't want to be in banking forever, but I still have to remind myself because I get lax and be like, I don't want to do this forever, so I don't have to put everything into this. But I have to remind myself, yes, you do, because everything matters. It all matters. I came here, I was thinking of myself when I was driving, I was leaving the gym, and I was like, I got to be here on time. And I looked at the time, and I was like, man, it's like 10:03. It's like I was supposed to be here at 10. I'm not horrible at being on time, but it's not just about being on time. It's about respecting other people's time. Yeah. Maybe a person may say, "Oh, it's just 5 minutes." It's like the time is important. Is not only just my time, but if you making if you giving somebody your word and say, okay, I'm gonna be here at 10, then you should be here at 10 or earlier. It's not. Everybody. I used to think it was cool to be late. It's like
Fashionably late, man.
Fashionably, right.
Yeah.
But it's like when I start realizing, man, time is important. You can't you can get. I can get the money back if I spend money and say, oh, okay, I'm gonna put this money in. Oh, I lost this money, whatever. But you can't get a person's time back, especially someone else. Maybe it's like, man, I thought he was gonna be here at 10. Maybe, what if you were a stickler on time and it's like, Jacob, I thought you said he was gonna be here at 10, man. It's 9:59 and 55 seconds left until 10. So what's up, man? And I could come in and it's like 10:01 and you're like, what's up, man?
Yeah.
But if you are a stickler about time and you tell me that, and I'm like, man, it's only 10:01. It's like, it doesn't matter. I gave Jacob my word, and in turn, Jacob gave his word to everyone else that I was going to be here at 10. If I didn't show up, then what does that say about me? And maybe that's a little bit more drawn out. Like, I don't know if anybody looks at it that way, but I try to keep that focus even with with my job. When you're dealing with people so much, man, this person here, I gotta help them out in doing this. Like I chose to do this, whatever it is. I chose to put my time into it, even if you feel like you don't want to be here forever. You chose to do this, so not only respect your job and that your name is attached to it. Respect other people's time and the fact that people are coming to you, that you're interacting with people. You have to just be aware of all of that, man. And like I say, everything matters. It all plays into everything. Because if you have these little habits of like, oh, I'm just 1 minute late, I'm just 2 minutes late, for me, then I'll be lax about everything. Like, oh, it's not so bad if I did this. And then when I'm trying to do my own thing, trying to put this passion into my own thing, I can't, because I don't even know I can't. I didn't even know I built these habits up of doing this.
It's too natural, yeah.
It's just like a natural thing. Like, it's
the 3 minutes late become I'll do it tomorrow, and then I'll do it tomorrow becomes a statement in your life.
Yes.
It's like you said, you go back to making these plans. Like you outplan yourself from it. Like your plans is like, this plan is so great, but I need to tweak it just a little bit more. And time will go by so fast.
Man. Yeah, try creating a story. It's funny the things that stick with you, because Ashton Kutcher at some teen awards, God knows how long ago.
Oh my God, I remember this. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I saw it on Facebook, so I saw it after the fact.
Yeah.
But he talked about how much he worked his ass off at every job he ever held.
Yeah.
And he was like, I wanted to be an actor. Like, that's where I was going. I assume. Maybe you might know. I just remember this. The theme of it was, I didn't want to be wherever I was for the rest of my life. But while I was there, I worked as hard as I could.
Yes.
And he was like, for people that look at me now and look where I'm at, like, if there's one thing I want you to understand is I worked hard to get here. And you should work hard wherever you're at. And, like, it's funny because when we find ourselves in these situations, these jobs or whatever they be with someone else you don't really want to be around, whatever it be, it's easy to make excuses to say, it's not worth my time or whatever. But I think about, like, you. If you would come into Chili's and been like, this is just a job. Like, this is just going to get me to the next point, and I don't really care about it. Jacob wouldn't have been like, I like that guy.
Yeah.
I want to be around that guy. I want to talk to that guy. And vice versa. And I think about someone like Chick-fil-A. I was there for 5 years. That's where I met my wife.
Yeah.
So, like, if I hadn't taken, and I didn't for a long time, I think when I first started Chick-fil-A, I was really appreciative of it. And so that helped me work harder and stuff like that. But then I let the mundaneness and the routine of it kind of set in. And I found myself quitting because I was tired. Tired of doing the same thing. I wanted something different. I wanted something better. And I ended up coming back, had to come back very humbly. Yeah. Because I didn't have anywhere else to go. I had nowhere else to go. And I remember I was like 6 months I had been gone. I had to come back and say, hey, I need a job again. Is there any way that you would hire me back? And for whatever reason, what was very humbling and felt very shameful at the time became this big push, unexpected push for me to start managing.
Yeah.
And if I didn't start managing, I would never have had the confidence to start Up and Out Studios, to really push Jacob and go, man, we can do this. We can start a company. We can make this happen, you know. And you really don't know what's going to come from the places that you're at currently until much later. Whether that's connections, whether that's, you know, a big event, life-changing, a big lesson, so on and so forth. So, yeah, it was so hard in the moment to remember to work hard wherever you're at, to appreciate what you have, to appreciate the opportunities that you have as they're there, and to take advantage of them.
Yeah, for sure, man.
I want to speak to what you said about wasting other people's time, like being timely and like not doing
Oh, man.
all the.
Oh, jeez. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I'm not going to get into that currently, but
Okay.
yeah,
that's an active thing.
Yes, but something I do want to get into is meetings. I go to a lot of meetings for shoots and TV, whatever, like meetings for creative projects. And the thing with creatives is they like to get away with, oh, I'm a creative, I'm not great with time. It's like, well, hold on, you know, you kind of gotta be. You can't. That doesn't excuse you, and B, you're wasting my time. Yeah. But what I've started doing is I'll show up to meetings half an hour late, because I know that's when everyone's going to get there. So I'm taking my time back. I'm not getting here on time because my bosses are not taking it as seriously as I am. So I'm not going to wait around for half an hour. I'm going to leave.
That sucks so
I'm going to
much.
leave half an hour late to get there when everyone actually does get there, because I need my time.
Yeah.
Like I'm not having my time wasted.
No. Sticking up for yourself is an important part of it.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you this though. Yeah. So would you well, I guess it depends on the environment. Because I get that. Like, it's like, it's my time, man, if you're not respecting it. But would I guess the environment that you work in, is it a place where you can kind of say, pull them to the side and say, hey, do you think, you know, hey, this is what I see, guys, you know, I'm showing up on time, but you guys are not, you know what I mean? Like, because, and the reason why I said, I don't know. Like, my thing is, I'm a person, like, I don't like to try to, I don't like the confrontation. I don't mind it. I don't care. But I understand that I can't put the confrontation, like, if I have a problem with Jacob and I say it in front of everybody else, I know that Jacob, then he's not going to accept it well. And he's gonna come. But if I pull Jacob to the side and say, hey, man, because I've done it to a lot of people, pull him to the side and say, hey, you know, this is blah, 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 blah. You know, this is my concern, you know, is it a way that, you know, how you're going about it is affecting me. And then, you know, sometimes it works, but, you know, sometimes it doesn't.
I'm not quiet about it. I talk to people when it's like, you know, what are we doing? Why are we this late? Like, what's going on? And I give people, every time I give people the benefit of the doubt until I'm proven wrong. I go, all right, you know, I'll be there at the posted time. And then when they continually disappoint, it's like, all right, I'm going to start showing up half an hour late, because that's when everyone decides to get there, you know? So I start, again, planning around it. You roll with the punches and you go, all right, you know, I've done my due diligence. I'm going to be there half an hour late, because that's when everyone actually thinks we're supposed to be there.
The other side of the coin that you don't hear talked about very often, because the I guess, I don't know, righteous part of ourselves that we want to be, like, the best version of ourselves. We want to do right, you know. It does sound a lot better, the conversation that we were having, to focus on that. But at the same time, there is this other side of that coin, the balance that says, if you've done everything you can. And you see it all the time on Facebook, you know, these posts of, you know, if you're in a relationship where you're pulling all the weight, then it's okay for you to be out of that relationship. It's okay for you to step away from that, whether that's a friendship, you know, dating, blah, 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 whatever it is. It goes there too. If you've really tried your best to say, you know, I've pulled people aside, I've had conversations, I've let people know, and it's still continuing and continuing. If you can get out, get out. If you can't get out, then you work around it, you know, and you do have to value yourself as well. You cannot crap all over yourself to put it very very plainly, and still continue as hard as we're talking about going. You know, it is that balance. Everything has that balance, and you got to respect yourself, love yourself, but you also have to respect other people, work for other people, look for the opportunities, work hard. It all goes together.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like it sucks too.
Yeah.
Yes, it can big time.
Yeah, you like, man, I want to, do this, and I want to. All right, I want everybody to be respectful, but I guess it's like it's not that perfect world or that scenario that you want it to be. And the reason why I say pull a person to the side and try to voice it too, because I know a lot of people that they have problems with certain things, and maybe it's this passive aggressive when they say, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna do it this way, but they don't address the situation, and with them not addressing it, it festers inside of them.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it with roommates, like,
Oh yeah.
when something it's like something happens, and it was a big thing maybe that happened, and this person didn't properly address it, and then it's like all these little things start happening. I was dating this girl a while ago, man, like years ago, before I met my girl, and I remember they had been friends for like 10 years, like good friends, and so it's customary when I walk into someone's house, I try to speak to whoever, if it's your roommate, whoever, even if I don't know them. Hey, how you doing? My name is Jessie. Okay, cool. And so, the girl, they both were going to Kennesaw, and they were roommates. And the girl was like, I knew they were friends because she was like, yeah, you got roommates or whatever. And so I walked in the house, hey, how you doing? Da, da, da. And so she was like, don't speak to her. And I was like, what? So I had I was dressed like, I was like, well, I was like, you definitely can't tell me that, because if I'm walking into someone's house, I am going to speak, and it's not my house, so it's customary.
Yeah.
Aside from me being a grown man, you can't tell me what to do. But I didn't
Here's
even
a big old
address
sign,
that.
red flag.
and she, nice girl, but basically, she was just kind of telling me their story. It was like, they had got into it about something, but they didn't really just hash it out. And then all these little things start happening along the way. And instead of them addressing and speaking about it.
Confrontation can't be good in that situation.
Exactly.
Well, we talked about it not
we
that
don't-
long ago. Yeah.
We don't like confrontation, but it has its uses.
It has,
It's necessary sometimes.
is,
yeah.
It's
necessary.
And if it's done properly, if it's done
It can-
in a healthy way,
now-
it's actually
You
beneficial.
just have to have respect. for it.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of time, respecting time, what are we at?
Oh, we got. We are at an hour 24.
Okay, so I'd like to move the conversation into, I know you maybe had some questions that you wanted to ask specifically for Jessie. I don't know if all those got covered. If there's anything else you wanted to go
I
over.
just kind of wanted to hang out and
Cool. Then I have a one kind of big push towards the end, I think, and it doesn't mean it has to end right now, but just kind of the direction. One, like, I would love for you to have the opportunity to share on here for our few listeners, but maybe retroactively, lots of listeners. We're dreaming big here.
Right.
But for you to be able to share where people, where you're, again, we asked it, but we never got to it, where you're going, where you're headed with Beast or anything. And then, where people can find you kind of deal.
Okay.
So, and then hopefully that can stir us in a conversation that goes, where are we headed, where you're headed.
Right. So real quick, to be sure anything, right now I'm actually working on my website. I kind of just put all the work into, it's a process, man. It was a crazy process to even get everything registered, the legal, everything that comes with it. So I guess within, it's been like 2 years that the nonprofit has actually been into existence.
Okay.
So I am on Instagram. It's just I_BTA. I'm working on my website right now. And as far as the where I'm looking for it to go, I want it to be substantial in being able to go into communities and basically wherever I can be effective.
Mm-hmm.
I want it to be something ongoing. My goal is to be able to, in a few years or so, to actually get start up kind of a center. Just have different spaces to almost kind of along the lines like the Boys and Girls Club, but I'll have a space where kids, young adults can kind of come and share ideas. Have counselors and things set up. This is like grand.
Sure. Come on, dream big.
Yeah,
That's what we do here. Yeah.
And so, to have like spaces, especially for young men, to kind of come and be able to talk about things, because I don't know how everyone specifically was raised, but even now, like, I don't really talk about my feelings. And it's like, even when I say it in my head, I make the face like my feelings, But but it shouldn't be like that. But it's fun. It shouldn't be that way, because I used to think, the feelings is weakness and all that, but it's actually like strong for someone. And I haven't developed that strength yet. I can't remember the last time I cried. I don't even remember. I can't even remember when I cried. But basically, my end goal is to be able to create a space, man, to where it's almost like nothing but encouragement through counseling, through setting up programs for kids and for young adults, for families, to build not just on a motivational standpoint, of course, their motivation, but be able to encourage them to pursue their passions, their dreams,
Absolutely.
but actually have actual channels that they can go through. Like if you have kids that want to, learn coding, want to learn how to be, want to learn law, that I can bring in. That I've created these olive branches to different people to where I can bring them in. Someone that wants to know about film and behind the camera of everything that they need to know, and editing and breaking down things. Just have like all these different programs. It doesn't necessarily have to be housed there, but have somewhere that they can come to, like, get that knowledge. Like, hey, I have this program I'm running. I'm getting kids into audio engineering. I don't even know if that's.
You're on. Come on, man.
You said, well, you don't know you're audio engineering. Audio engineering. Yeah.
Stay confident.
Yeah, just to have something like where I can meaningfully encourage and actually give people an avenue to go down. So that's kind of the long term.
I can guarantee you we're here for it.
Yeah, for sure, man. I appreciate that.
You're falling right in line with.
The lost episode of Passions, which is
Passions and education, and so if you go back and listen to our other episodes, man, you're
listen, man.
Right
I'm about to.
I'm
yeah,
sure this is why Jacob was like, "Hey, let's make sure we get Jessie on."
Awesome, man.
I'd love to see where we can help each other in the future.
For sure.
Where this can go, and the way that we want to end our episodes now is our takeaways. So we'll go around, talk about kind of throughout this conversation, was there anything that really stood out to you that maybe you need to be reminded of, or that you really thought was impactful, or you want to reiterate? And for me, I can start us off. I think this is probably the two biggest reminders for me, because I think there's a lot of good, solid foundational stuff here on this episode. But is to remember to listen.
Man, you took mine.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I mean, that's the big one. That's where we started, and I just it stands out.
For me, it stands out so much for me because I am so good at listening to fix or listening to teach that I have to remember that I don't always have something to provide for other people.
Right.
One of the most powerful things I can provide for people is to just be there for them and just to listen and just to hear their story, and so they know they have somewhere to go where they can have a friend. But the other one is that not taking advantage of or missing out on the opportunities that you have.
Right.
Because I know for me, we talk about, I think we connected a lot about this idea of like wanting to just go. You see something, you want to go for it. Or I'm a big dreamer, so I'm always caught up in the clouds going, well, we could do this and this and this and this. But I think really reminding myself day in and day out, like, well, today I'm here. So really, appreciate what I have, work as hard as I can, do the best I can, and, remember that I have those dreams. They're there. They're not going anywhere. But don't miss out on the things that are here today.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I think one of my takeaways is definitely to remind myself the follow through. Yeah. You know what I mean? Once you, well, I guess, the follow through and the maintenance. Mm-hmm. To kind of, when you have these things in place, to be sure that you've already prepared yourself prior to be able to withstand. To be, okay, I created this. It's here now, this fast pace of where I wanted to. It didn't come as fast as I wanted to, but it's here now. Am I prepared, to maintain it? Mm-hmm. And also, a thing that I kind of took from what you said, though, is, and it made sense, I let it kind of soak in me, and like, you addressed the situation that you didn't like, but it didn't work. Mm-hmm. So it's like, all right, because I almost said to myself, like, well, maybe you should just continue to come on time. But then I said this to myself when you were saying it, but then I thought to myself, like, would you do that? I was like, probably not. I was like, after a while, because only you kind of trying to prove something to yourself that I can do this. Mm-hmm. I'm going to stay here. But nobody else is listening. They may not be on the same frequency as you. Mm-hmm. So I took away from that. Yeah, like I did my due diligence. I tried to see what I can do to make the situation better, or mm-hmm. for myself. I want to address it for myself. Because I think that's courageous, and not to just, if it's affecting me, let me have the courage. Like, I'm all about, like, I don't want to feel like I did something cowardly. Yeah. I may not want the confrontation, but for me, I'm always going to go to it. Like, I'm not going to be like, see this person, be like, I want to address the situation. I say to myself, I wasn't a coward.
Yeah.
But I gotta respect my time and love myself enough to say, look, if I love doing what I'm doing, I don't want to walk away from this. But if this is going to be not the blueprint, if this is going to be the layout and how we're doing things, then I'm just gonna do things the same way.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's 100% nothing wrong with that. I think, like, because you did everything you do, it's like, all right, if y'all showing up 30 minutes late, I'm the only one that's here 30 minutes just waiting. Mm-hmm. Who am I proving something to? Because apparently no one else is. They don't care. Yeah. So just to kind of be the maintenance of once we get into a position, but also not feeling like I have to, I guess, prove something when I've already did everything that I can do. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So
at what point does it become pride? That's hard. It's a hard distinction. Yeah. That's perfect. Yeah. It's good.
Yeah.
Jakob.
Yeah, I think the listening is the biggest one, and I wasn't just saying that to be funny. It's literally what I was thinking. I think listening is really big, and contrasting listening, like, I guess I'm still equating that to, like, my way of learning. Like, there's, like, because I listen a lot, but I think there's the contrasting, like, go, do, and fail, mm-hmm. and, like, learn from those failures and just kind of, like, keep moving forward almost. It goes right back into, like, this beast through anything mentality. So it's just being respectful in that, and respecting yourself, just like you're saying. Because, I guess another thing that stands out is we don't get lucky. Yeah. It's good. If you want something, like, and I saw something on social media recently, maybe yesterday or the day before, something where it was saying the exact same thing. I was like, dang, man, like, would I don't know, sometimes it just stands out. Like, there's so many inspirational stuff that I see on social media. It's hard to, like, implement all of them into your life unless you sit down and you're very intentional with, like, how do you implement it into your life. But anyways, you don't get lucky, and then also listen and learn from other people, and then listen and learn from yourself and your own experiences. So I think those are good.
Fantastic.
I guess I've got 2 takeaways. One that we've discussed, and one that is, I guess, a byproduct of what we discussed. I guess the takeaway, the first one would be the balancing planning and being a doer. Like you've got to, if you have an idea, it's good to go out and pursue that, but you've got to be smart about it. So like, plan what you can, roll with the punches, and then go and do it. Don't let unknowns hold you back. Don't let I can't plan this, I can't control everything, stop you from doing something. But at the same time, you might have the best idea ever, but if you have no plan for what you're going to go after, then there's no way you can succeed unless you have someone that can help you do that. So that was a big piece of advice that I want to put out there. But another, I guess, byproduct of doing all of this is that this whole topic has been about working and helping others, and following what you want to do, and then pursuing making other people's lives better. And I want to really underline the importance of maybe just throwing out some form of like positivity, because this whole time I can imagine you're working on a project, you're working on a business, you're working on a goal, you're working on a dream, and you're so inside your head. And the thing that can really give you that extra motivation is if someone acknowledges and goes, you're doing a great job, you're doing a great thing, and like that, the motivation from that alone can boost your productivity just exponentially. So like if you start, if you notice something, if you see something or someone working hard, and you go, hey man, you're killing it, you're doing a great job, there's no harm in spreading some form of positivity. So that's a big thing I wanted to, I don't know, I guess that's a byproduct of what we talked about. If someone, you can get so inside your head, and if someone, or if you take the time to spread something positive to someone else, then you might, it can change. I don't know, it can change a lot.
That's good, man. That's good. That's something that like even all of us, like we already had this whole conversation, but that's something out of the conversation that I feel like I can take out and like kind of almost be active in looking at like, hey, I know, like I work in a restaurant. I know there's people out there who are like have their dreams and like whatever. And like it's just a way to like almost offer a helping hand in a way, or just encouraging people. Yeah.
Well, good stuff. Jesse, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. Yeah, we definitely want you around more, and we didn't mention it in the beginning like we said we would, but if you want more content like this, and this is something that appeals to you, you really feel like you're learning or growing, or you get some value out of this, definitely like, comment, subscribe, share this with other people. We're trying to spread the love, if you will. So, I think that closes us out for this episode, and we'll be back soon.
Yeah. See you next time.
Absolutely.